Thank you all for being here. Really excited to present to you virtual relief therapy. My name is Stephen Warsh. Je dois présenter en anglais aujourd'hui parce que le français c'est pas ma première langue. I'm an athletic therapist, massage therapist, and kinesiology major. And my background started when I was a little kid. I played sports growing up all my life, and unfortunately with that came a lot of injuries. At the end of my career, I ended up having to have surgery for my shoulder, and that ended my playing career. Now, because of all the injuries, I was able to experience athletic therapy and different forms of therapy throughout my entire life, and it became a passion of mine, and that's why today that is what I do. So I went to school for 10 years, doing 3 different degrees, and then began working with teams national level, provincial level, and all over, working with professional athletes, and even some of your grandparents just looking to stay active, everyone in between. So then I began my master's after discovering virtual reality and the immense potential that it has as a non-invasive drug-free pain tool. So I began at QCSC earlier this year and Lab to Market, validating how we can modernize therapy for athletes, and here we are today. I want you to take a second and think about the last time you had an injury, and you went to do physiotherapy or athletic therapy. What were some of the problems you encountered? What were some of the excuses that you came up with? And when we were doing the entretiens, there was an overwhelming amount of problems that became clear, because in healthcare we've got lots of issues. For today, we're going to focus on the 3 major ones that are very important for what we're doing and in terms of healthcare. So I'm sure many of you probably thought about the time you didn't do your exercises. You weren't engaged in it, you got bored, you didn't finish the program, and that's the #1 thing that we're seeing through and through from therapists and the people themselves admitting that they don't do the exercises. And it's really important that it's something that we take care of. Next, there are very limited options when it comes to pain. You basically have over-the-counter Advil or Tylenol, and if you're lucky or unlucky enough, in my case when I had surgery, you get opioids or stronger things, which unfortunately come with a lot of long-lasting side effects that are potential to overuse. And then lastly, more on the therapy side of things, there's a lack of objective data. So what that means is if you're doing your exercises, there's really no actual data that people often look at. In fact, only 35% of the healthcare practitioners that we interviewed said they use any objective data at all, which is concerning because it really helps you buy in when you can see your progress, and the athletes were asking for things that they could actually see themselves of how their progress throughout. So some quick examples. Nick, one of the athletes, said, "I feel like there's better things I could have done than standing facing the wall pushing my foot." An Olympic athlete said, "Introducing technology would allow me to do more movements that I can't necessarily normally do." And then the athletic therapist saying, confirming that buy-in is boring, for the program is boring, and Anik, the physio, saying days where he's got to deal with non-compliant patient after another are extremely mentally taxing. So we present virtual relief therapy, virtual solutions, real results. Virtual reality is, for those of you that don't know, the reason why it affects pain is it distracts the brain from the pain signals it's receiving, and it allows it to focus on, or it stops it from focusing on the pain, and it focuses on what you're presenting. So it's really a distraction technique. And if you don't know what it looks like, I've created a few visuals. If you're a football player, baseball player, hockey player, or any other sport, this is what it looks like when you put the headset on. And it's extremely engaging, and it feels real. Is that going to work? It's going to work, perfect. Using already available free technology like full body tracking, you can get real-time objective data of your sets, reps, push-ups, squats, and ranges of motion that can be automatically uploaded to a platform that we'll create for the therapist and the athletes to see themselves. So what does this look like? Have you ever had a therapist tell you to do 20 minutes of stretching and you just never really wanted to do it? Well, if you're a football athlete, put the headset on, hop to McGill Stadium, the Grey Cup champion Montreal Alouettes are cheering down the street right now. Have augmented reality show you where your hands should go, where your head should go, how long you should hold the stretch for. Why stand in your living room staring at the fridge doing your balancing exercises when you could be at the Centre Bell, at the Montreal Canadiens doing your exercises, getting live feedback from your body tracking to let you know if you're off balance or if you need any sort of adjustments. And then lastly, as we get towards the end of rehab, it's really important to get master movements and to get to the game-like atmospheres. So these are the more advanced, where it's really hard to have people practice their situations without needing other people involved. Virtual reality gives you that ability to practice without needing to recruit your friends, teammates, coaches to practice. So we're calling the dashboard the road to recovery, work in progress. But basically it looks like this. It's a very gamified version of therapy where you have key milestones along the way. So it's a little hard to see the colors here, but you've got different milestones like no pain, full strength, full range of motion that you accomplish along the way. And one thing I really want to highlight here is the weird skull circles. They're support videos. So we really wanted to implement a mental health component as well, because mental health in the recovery process is something that's often overlooked that we realize during the process. So you have support videos from your friends, family, coaches. You've got key highlights of your career that you can watch and feel immersed back in the sport that you play. So our target markets, obviously injured athletes. Why we didn't just do all athletes is because we started to invalidate that if you didn't have a history of trauma or if you didn't have motivation to get back to strength, it didn't matter for some of the people what we offered. If they're not motivated, they're not going to do it. So really taking people that have had that experience and motivating them to get back to full strength. Professional sports teams are beginning to use virtual reality. Luckily enough, I have a few people that I've talked to on different professional sports teams, and they're already using it and looking for something with a first-person perspective that they can engage their athletes in even more. And lastly, the healthcare professionals. We actually invalidated the old school hands-on therapists because if you think about it, they don't really do rehab. They don't send people in with exercises. They're the people using their hands in the moment. And I think it's a bit small of a sample size to say we validated, but for the purpose of this, we validated that it was something that they were looking for, ones who are seeking therapy, sending clients home with exercises on paper, using applications already, something that's more engaging and easier to track because it's autonomous. So very quickly, our value proposition I think is a little clear, modernizing and revolutionizing athletic therapy to be objective, fun, traceable, autonomous, and patient sport specific. I'm running a little short on time, so I'm going to skip a little quickly through this section. But I think the biggest takeaway for me was really getting to the why. So it was really easy, as you saw at the beginning, to get all the problems. Everybody had lots of problems and excuses of why they didn't do it. But really understanding the why and digging deeper to why, finding the common links and why were you feeling or experiencing those things. And the biggest takeaway that I hope to disseminate to others via podcast or just social media is the constant mistrust on both sides of the healthcare. So the therapist not trusting the athletes to actually do their exercises, and the athletes not trusting that they were actually going to get better doing the exercises. So currently we're looking for a partner to help code some of what you've seen today, and investors that believe in the project to help fund it going forward. So again, my name is Stephen Warsh, it's Virtual Relief Therapy, and we hope that you'll join us to immerse, play, and recover.